This is my studio, and these are some of the components of my artist book, Eve's Diner, a work in progress. The idea behind the book is that Eve left the Garden of Eden willingly in order to have some adventures and gain some knowledge of the world, and in this particular chapter of her adventures, she's running a diner. So in the film, I'm going to take you from early prototypes to colour trials, and then into the book as it is now, and looking at text and binding. So these are where the panels are now, which will become part of the concertina. First thing I'm going to show you are some colour trials I did, printing apples in different shades to try and get some atmosphere, because I want the book to have a feel of the diner and some of the jollity, but a slightly off-kilter atmosphere. Following my first prototype, I realised that I wanted a smaller, more intimate feel, so this is the next one, which is still big enough for me to be filming this from a stepladder, but a much smaller, tighter layout, and I'm going to start printing this one. The first part of the book I'll be printing will be these 4 inner pieces of the concertina, and I'll print those in 2 panels on Somerset paper. Each will make up 2 pages, and then using a registration sheet of the same size to try and make sure everything goes into the right place. Alongside developing prints for inside the concertina, I've been looking at how to place text in the book. So there's going to be a longer narrative which will be on the inside left cover, so you read that before you open the book and come into the diner. And then there's a menu set in the final page at the back of the book. The narrative refers to changes in images of Eve, and in the early tales of her, and some of them, she and Adam, like in this carving from Lincoln Cathedral, are equal, taking the forbidden fruit together. But as images developed of her, sometimes the serpent, who was equated with the devil, was given a head that looked remarkably like Eve's. This is around 1300, and it's in this period that she began to get a very bad press and was considered to be evil. So those changes in images are one of the things that inspired me making this book as an attempt to sort of enjoy Eve and to redress that bad press. The text inside the book that forms a pudding menu is a play on words. Just desserts obviously normally being a phrase used to explain a punishment for someone who's done something bad, and they get their just desserts, their appropriate punishment. In this case, Eve's reward isn't a punishment, it's the joy of discovering all of these things that she may not have found if she had stayed in the Garden of Eden. Polka, jazz, King Luscious, liberty, and these are all expressed in the names of apples. So you can order anything off this menu and share some of her adventures. Other apples are available on request. I've reached the stage now in developing this prototype that I'm thinking about a binding, and also looking inside the book to see what needs to be added, what I might change. So I've been looking at diner signs, and I think that Eve deserves a really striking diner sign of her own. So I've not developed that yet, but it will be on the front cover, and the book form is likely to be a traditional codex like this, but with the book pulling out as a concertina. In this earlier book it just folds out, but it gives that relationship between the contemporary and the traditional, which is really at the heart of my practice. So I like these more formal forms with something unexpected in them, and they would probably be based on a case binding, so the back of the concertina would sit in here and the text on that side. So that would allow you to open Eve's Diner as if it's a traditional book. And here you'd get the text here on the left, and then a frontispiece here, welcome to Eve's Diner, and the image of the apple. Then you turn into double page spreads to the end where the menu is, and that rigid binding would allow the menu to stand up, so that when it's finished it will stand on the table just as if you were in a diner and reading the menu propped in front of you. So this apple is a good example of some of the things that I really enjoy about making prototypes, because I really like to make, and obviously thinking about your ideas, and sometimes unexpected things develop. So when I printed this colour trial, which we've seen before, there were images underneath to change the colour, which started to remind me of a globe. And I thought, as Eve is such a universal story, it would be really nice to reference that. And so this apple will have underneath it a world map, so that Eve's diner could be set anywhere, any country, any time.